This is our Unconstitutional Awakening program.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Brought to you by KD Consulting Redesign.
Throw your hands up if you with it. Drop it.
Ahoy there, babies. It's time to set sail on another episode of Constitutional Awakening, the podcast. Of course, you guys know we're still going. Here's another episode for you guys. We're supposed to have a guest tonight, that fellow Q from the Parallel Society, that heliocentric universe fellow, or geocentric universe fellow. Some interesting stuff. I don't know where the conversation's going to go tonight. It could go any and everywhere. So, we're just, that's just how we roll it. Unscripted and bold, just conversations about Lord knows what. And if you're a regular listener, you know where these conversations can go and stuff. And if you are a regular listener, watcher, whatever it is out there, like Steven, we see you out there in the comments and stuff. Folks over there on Rumble and BitChute, Odyssey, all the comments that get left there and the feedback we get at Captain Conspiracy and the Freedom Pirates on Facebook, as well as the feedback I get at Instagram and everywhere else, man. You guys are all absolutely fantabulous. And I thank you folks over there on TikTok watching and stuff. I pull so many guests from there because that's an amazing place to find amazing people. So you guys make sure you find us anywhere that you can find Unconstitutional Awakening, except for some weird meme page that's trying to make fun of us. But that's a whole nother story. You guys can get on over there the best way, honestly. I'll tell you right now, best way that you guys can find all of that stuff that you're looking for when it comes to finding us is over there at unconstitutionalawakening.com. That's our homepage there. You guys know how this goes, man. You can find everything you need to keep up with us. We try to do some blog stuff from time to time. We've got, the podcast and more section. We even have the UA social, man. You guys are welcome to get on there and share memes, run your mouth, stuff like that. I'm all for it. You can get back to who the hosts and stuff are and find them all on social media, as well as links to listen to us on like Spotify and so many other places, man. We're listened to around the world. It's pretty amazing to think that some weird dude like me is interested, has you guys' interest, and I'm going to keep going just because of you guys. You guys make sure you get over here and check it out. You guys can find all the links back to that stuff. You can listen to the show right there. Find our awesome merch store to get some Unconstitutional Awakening merch, like something with the fantabulous flag printed all over it, or this cool Unconstitutional Awakening stuff here, like the logo and stuff like that, man. It's all on our website. You can also check out our friends in Liberty. Call them sponsors, but man, they're just our friends trying to make a better tomorrow and actually make a change, like Kirk Elliott, Peachy Key Creations, Ammo Can Survival, and Brett Pipe with ClassicalLearner.com. These are links, man. You guys can get back to all these folks right there through these links. And, spread the love and maybe invest in a better tomorrow for yourself, different ways. So, again, we do appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing where this episode goes. So, let's, as I would normally say, let's get into it. As I told you guys, we're hanging out with Q and Luis this evening. So, Q, how you doing, bud?
Hey man, I'm good, man. It's been a good day. I feel really, really productive, and I definitely was looking forward to this meeting. So as you can see, I had to. I'm not in my normal space, but I'm definitely here, man. I'm happy to be here.
Hey man, I appreciate you being able to make it still. And I like integrity like that. I appreciate you coming to join us and stuff, man. I've had a productive day myself too. I've been all over my state on a larger route than normal before I had to come in for the day. And still got all my stuff done, so I'm pretty happy with myself too. So, Luis, how you doing over there tonight?
Good. I was just speaking with Julian, which you've had here before, and one of the most brilliant minds I've ever met. Making microwave pyrolysis a way to recycle plastics into fuels in an efficient way, viable for everybody.
Yeah, guys,
Amazing person.
you ought to go back and check that out. He's actually local to me. We had him on the show before. He's a real cool cat. I'm going to have to get him back over here because I know he's still working hard on advancing that stuff. I think he's got a real bright future. So, where even if he doesn't stick with that, there's no telling where that boy's mind will go because that's a smart young man.
He's what is it, 18, 19? I forgot. I
That's
think
what I'm
he's like
saying.
18.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's super young.
He already is at a postdoctorate level, like a doctorate or postdoctorate level education, and he's just 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
He is way ahead of the curve. That's what it sounds.
It's like his work, once he gets it done, it's like, this is my doctorate thesis.
Yeah,
I built a reactor in a war zone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Young
So-
Tony Stark.
and I found him on TikTok. I'm actually gonna make sure I share his TikTok information with this episode so that everybody can get back to him for that too because he's a real cool dude, man, and he's been advancing with his techniques on it and stuff. What's he on, like the Mach 4 or 5 now that I think that he said? And
Yeah, he's getting things in order. He's going to go into the thousands of liters next, and he's getting things in order. He's gonna build the next big one in a warehouse. So he's getting a few things in order because he cannot build at a scale he needs for the next projects. So I was talking to him, what is it, 20 minutes ago? And he went a little over those details in a live. He was up right now. And he is a representation of the amazing future ahead built by the amazing minds that can really, really alter reality. He is altering reality by altering matter. He is converting matter. There is literally no better representation of the concept of altering reality that he alters matter from one state back to another state.
yeah, I mean that's all there is to it. I love stuff like that, and that's a big thing we like to deal with here is ideas that we can change tomorrow with. And I've heard some people. I was telling about him. They were like, "Well, do you know how much energy it is to run a microwave?" I was like, "Dude,
He produces.
that's not even.
No,
That's not
he's a
even my
fun part.
concern. Like
He
personally,
produces double the amount of energy he inputs.
what I love about it is the idea of helping get rid of plastic trash.
Yeah.
Because he's recycling plastic trash to do this, and you've already told me in the past, Luis, that there's kind of a program like this where they're sort of doing that with the ocean and stuff.
So yes, so the process for the ocean one originally was going to be a similar process, but something happened, so they converted it. But I know enough people that I could potentially connect him, but we have to get through a few steps, and then I can like make all the calls, like I did like now with Vladimir and like the nonprofit I'm working with in Ukraine. That potentially he's going to build a machine like this in Ukraine. So that's going to be a fascinating thing. If he can get that, if he can work with people on the other side of the planet and help them build something that can function for them and actually work, it can help some zones that have limited supply of fuels. And this is the thing, not everybody has consistent access to resources. Even after the war ends, it's not going to be easy. And this is where this machine can be used, and then they can be replicated because the small areas that don't have direct access to, like, not everything in Ukraine is cities. There's like potentially smaller areas, smaller towns that could gain a lot of benefit from this type of technology. And this is just a simple reality. Like similar in the USA.
Well,
There's a lot of places here that have scarcity, that have problems. We have to accept that the majority of the population of the United States, technically, according to the poverty line and many other factors, is poor.
Yeah, that's me too, for sure. That's I'm in that. Look, I thought I was
We're all in that spectrum, likely of we're considered poor according to the government.
I thought I was doing good, and then like inflation went insane, and now I think I'm right back to where I started. So
that's the point. That's what inflation does. Inflation is taxation without any representation.
But his idea of being able to create the fuel.
Not wrong.
His idea from being able to create the fuel from the scrap plastic, like even okay, and doing it with the microwave on the weird scale that he is. Me being someone in the sticks, and we discuss the Jetsons and the Flintstone thing all the time, and me being wanting to continue probably being a Flintstone. Something that small scale could easily be powered, and I have access to junkyard stuff constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a microwave is a common item to come across at junkyard, I promise. Like, or even in the dump. And like, you could potentially make your own tractor gas to keep going or something like that if you were in an ideal situation where I am, where I just want to be away from everybody, and something like that wouldn't. Would I run it in a car? No. But would I run it in something like a
that's the thing. His dream is
absolutely
the dream is to have it exist in small communities. So a small community of a few hundred has one of the machines locally available, and they convert it and they use it for some neighbor that needs the fuel, or they use it for machines that are needed for the community. Like, or the police department uses the fuel. Even though most fleets are going to be electric, liquid fuels will never go away. The idea that they're going to go away is written by idiots that don't know anything about energy. Liquid fuels are never going to go away. They're not going to go away for the next century. So
yeah, there's no successful way to do the 18-wheeler for delivery. There's there's so many farmers in like my vicinity that have what you would consider antique tractors because they're probably 50 plus years old, but they have those because A, they can still work on them, and B, like they still work because nowadays you get caught up in like the new John Deere tractors, you're fucked.
I think the John Deere tractors are now Japanese. I think John Deere's Japanese now, right? I believe they're owned by a Japanese firm, and they don't allow you to repair them.
Let me ask you guys a question. Since we're talking about energy and free energy, have you guys ever heard of the Tartaria kind of situation? And I'm asking that because of one of the major aspects of it was that at that time period they had mastered free energy. There were civilizations that was pulling energy out of the ionosphere. And they were claiming that essentially a lot of the cathedrals and the designs of the cathedrals were actually like giant batteries and the large buildings and stuff that were converted into places of worship, when in actuality these were buildings designed for there were buildings designed for housing, storing, and distributing free energy.
Yes. No, listen, Tartaria is a favorite subject of mine. I'm all about the fact that there clearly is some edited missing history and some things that just don't add up when they try to give you the story of history as far as the things that come back over here into the Americas. We actually were talking about that last night, a little bit about South America and the uncovering of stuff like that. But I'm totally in the thing that there was most definitely multiple past civilizations that made it to a point of that, and whether
Atlantis is a perfect example.
Atlantis, but what I'm saying is how we were last night, Luis, how we kept talking about the different resets and the things that were missing through time and cataclysms that cause things like the pole shift, for example. There was a book I kept recommending called the Adam and Eve story, but about cataclysmic pole shifts or something that very well could have caused, whether it be mud flood, a ocean flood, a continent sinking.
Tartaria, the fascinating part when it comes to that story, and look, I I find it fascinating. I don't know what part of it could be real, maybe a portion of it, maybe all of it, maybe some of it. And that's the tricky part, right? Because when you get to the point where you can't find the sources for half that stuff, like there is a map, like there is maps that show like something about the. So that's like, but I need to like I would like to see, okay, where is that map? So I haven't looked into, I know I've seen the maps, but I haven't looked into like where did that map, what was that map found? How old is the estimated age of that map? Because we can have an idea of something that's a few hundred years old, and it is a few hundred years old, the map. So there was Genghis Khan, right? Genghis Khan potentially slaughtered a huge portion of the global population. And when I say a huge portion of the global population, is at the time, there wasn't that many humans that we know of. At least in Asia, he killed probably 15% of the population, probably is a low estimate. So this man slaughtered a giant portion of humans and then essentially had a baby a day. Because he literally, that's why 16% of the population in that region is related to Genghis Khan.
I've heard that. I've heard that. They're all dependents.
So what did he destroy? So what we understand is there is a lot we don't know that he destroyed.
Yes.
Right? So
and
what could be Tartaria? What could be what he destroyed? He could have destroyed Tartaria. So the idea that Tartaria existed until recently might be the error. Tartaria might have existed, but a few hundred years, but in the time of Genghis Khan, which wasn't that long ago, actually. So
I like that theory because, like, I don't know, like I think a lot of like history that we see as spread out is actually
it could have been Tartaria.
Yes.
Genghis Khan.
No, where it collides. I agree with that so much because though they don't really teach. Oh,
look up the map. Let's look up the map.
They don't really teach, but I mean, I'm saying as far as like history, like you're saying, Q, they don't really teach you history, you know, like in proper order when they're teaching.
Oh no, God no.
And there's so much that does overlap. Like that's a big thing that I like to bring up is how many things are closer to each other than you realize. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like I play like Civilization Civ 6 and like, that game, like it really makes me think. I'm like over here like looking at all these different civilizations, they're all just like in like one big area, and I'm like, yo, like I think this is how it is. Like I think certain people just win wars and just be like, nah, you're gone. You're out of history. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, check this out. Actually,
history is written by the winners.
Yes, by the victors for sure.
I want to show you guys. Look, I threw in Tartarian Empire just into my Google search for the evening.
And it's interesting that the first thing that comes up is the Mongol.
Wow,
that's what I'm talking about. I think there is a potential overlap or a re-understanding of the Mongolian Empire. So Tartaria could have just very well be the Mongolian Empire, but we, in translation and time, there's been a lot of problems in the whole construction of the understanding of our history.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw.
We could be wrong. That's the thing. We could have been taught everything wrong in school. It's not like it would be a surprise.
Of course we are. No, I watched this really, really long video series. I want to think it's called like the History of the World or something. I don't know. It was
the one about the World's Fair.
And
it's like 6 hours long.
Yeah, it was. I watched it in pieces, but they had like this one point that they were making where they were talking about like the coins and how they were minted to say like for instance 1902, but like when they looked at the coins, the font is different, so it's an I, and so it's like I 902. It's not like saying 1,000. You know, it's like 902, the year 902, or like I would be like almost like the mint number or something like that. I don't know, but it's like it's like little things like that. Like it, I don't know how true that is. You know what I mean? But it makes you think. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like I went to school for graphics, so I understand like you use different fonts to communicate different ideas. You know what I mean? So it's like the eye does kind of look like the one does look like an eye.
Could it have been degradation of time?
Possibly. I mean, it's. I mean, you find a coin, and our current understanding dictates. Our where we are in time dictates our understanding of the past. You know.
Oh, that's right. Genghis Khan had green eyes too.
Red hair and green eyes. And then this gets back into a little bit of the Tartaria stuff because it's interesting that the red hair and green eye thing comes up because that also comes up a lot when we're talking about like red-haired giants that have been
Giants,
in like
Nephilim.
Indian
Yeah.
Indian history, whether it be, and I mean like India and like in the desert stuff in India, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, places like that have had the stories of the red-headed giants.
Giants.
Russia has had stories of the red-headed giants. Even the Americas had stories of red-headed giants.
How about
So
how culture really has like this hate towards redhead people?
I understand.
Isn't that
Don't
weird
give me
that
don't give me a hard time.
the ginger nonsense?
Ginger, yeah, like that's
I'm
so
not
weird.
soulless, and I'm only part ginger. I'm a day walker.
I'm technically half ginger. My mom's a
When
redhead.
the hair up that used to be up here used to be down to almost my ass and was golden blonde and beautiful, and then the beard is got red all through it. So
I'm
I'll
also
day walker.
partially redhead, but I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm like a whole mix of
Oh,
things.
that's an interesting redhead. I actually had I didn't think they existed, but I have met in my life a naturally born Asian that was redheaded and had the freckles, and a naturally born African American that had like a red hued hair and freckles.
Wow.
No,
And
yeah, mixes like that can happen. It's just basically a toss up
It
when it
is,
comes to
but
the
Yeah.
baby.
it's interesting to see. I mean, I believe that there's truth to getting traits and getting things from ancestors past in your bloodline because when you really think about it, you have two sets of grandparents. Well, each of your grandparents had two sets of grandparents. Each of their grandparents had two sets of grandparents. When you go back so far, we are so mixed. It's unreal.
Wait, what is it? There is one, I think everybody 2000 or 3000 years ago is related to us. It's like there's some weird math where eventually every single human being on Earth in the future will be related to you.
Yes.
That's weird to think about. Well, really, because
Let me look up the
Bible, so I
stats.
think
There's
we
a
all have like a common ancestor anyway. So I already see everybody as being related, I guess, in a weird way.
Oh yeah, man. Like I've always felt that way. Like I've always my mom did good about teaching that in our life, I believe, is that everybody in meat is fighting their own battle, and it's a whole lot easier to be kind and to lend a hand if you're able to. I sometimes like go out of my way more than I should, but you know
Yeah.
what? We're only here once, and if I love you and I think you're part of my family, I'm gonna do what I can to try to help you. You know what I mean? And when I say family, I don't mean blood because like me and my blood don't see eye to eye that great. Don't get me wrong, me and my mom have a decent relationship, but that's about it. And like, but I think you choose. I don't know that whole choose your family thing. Like Luis is, I consider him family. Like I love Luis to
Yeah.
death. Even if we have little spats from time to time, like it's part of being family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and it's Bandit too. Like Bandit, he's unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight, but he has driven 7.5 hours twice to come and see me.
Hmm.
Like
That's
I I I think he's an absolute fantabulous person too. And Neptune the same way. He lives 2 hours away, so he passes through me frequently on the way to doing business and stuff because he's always traveling the state. So like it's
where are you at, Jim Bob?
I'm down in Georgia.
Georgia. Okay. Cool. That's not too far. I'm near DC. I'm in Annapolis.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like being down here in the sticks. Georgia's got it's got its problems, don't get me wrong, but when you're out here in the woods and towns that have populations of 1,000 or 3,000 to between 1,000 and 3,000, if not less sometimes, like I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And it's easier to actually be a part of the larger community, I think, in something like that because there's less. I don't know. You can do more on a community level, like we discussed trying to do. in a smaller community than I really think you can in too large of a community. I don't know. I've always thought there's no simple way to blanket an entire population like the United States. You know what I'm saying, Luis? Like you to blanket so many people under the rule of the same federal law
Well, that's
is
why
ridiculous.
this is why the United States was constructed how it was constructed early on, because the founders understood, yeah, this is not going to be controllable. This place is huge. This place, I mean, comparatively speaking, think about it. The United States is the size of Europe. That was their measuring stick in their heads. And these are people that never saw flight. Like they never saw the earth from 30,000 feet above. Like they never looked at the earth from below and looked at the scale of the earth. They only traveled, and it took them a while. It's like, I know it takes 2 months to get over there, or it takes 3 weeks to get over there. True. It's a long ways away. Like when you realize that the populations, like the undiscovered territories, like there was still parts of the United States that were not completely understood at the time of the founding. So there's all those factors, because there was only the 13 colonies when it started.
Yeah.
So it was only the East Coast. Like they knew what it was, but if you've seen the maps from back then, they're like, they're kind of janky. They're not perfect. So.
True.
I mean, the people who were coming here didn't, they may not have had a clue about the things that were here. And
we have foresight. They had nothing.
I truly believe there was, just like we're talking about, like Genghis Khan destroying things. Think about what the Spanish and, the Spanish invaders alone in like the 1500s. Think of all of the things they destroyed.
I don't want to. They're genetically related to me. Fuck those people. Fuck those idiots.
But they really did. Like there is so much lost history there because of there's
alcoholic what is it called, there's a syndrome that comes from alcoholism. So a lot of people back then were very aggressive and very violent because of alcoholism. So I forgot the exact term, but it's a disorder that happens if you essentially grew up with an alcoholic mother, and that makes you violent. Now imagine an entire society that lives off alcohol because there's no portable water. It's not that hard to get you to become a bad baby.
El dickhead. That's crazy, man. I don't know, man. I often wonder like about past and like what we don't know. You know what I mean? And like what kind of like information was just like disregarded, like they didn't have understanding of how to use it, or I don't know how to use this. Let me just destroy this thing, or you know what I mean? Like, or you know what? And then like like the Vatican, what's hidden down there? You know what I mean? What kind? Maybe there was a lot of stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that was kept. You're not just going to destroy.
I think the Smithsonian has secret locked up vaults too. Like I don't think there's claims that they destroyed stuff. I don't want to say they actually destroyed.
No, there's for sure the same way. I mean, there's so much shit locked up in the Louvre.
Yeah,
there's so much shit locked up in museums all over the world.
I honestly doubt that the stuff is actually at the places we think they're like
the people that destroyed that one the other week. I don't think they destroyed a real one.
Which one? What are you talking about?
What, the Georgia Guidestones?
No. The those folks that went running into that place and apparently threw something all over that.
Painting. So on news on how all that works, all those pieces, they were covered in glass, so they didn't do anything. Not a thing. They
made a statement.
I think of how stupid they are and ignorant they are of energy supply, and how they don't understand how oil works as they're using oil products to protest oil.
A statement nonetheless.
And they're stupid. Okay.
I find that me and Bandit have discussed this in the past before, that like I truly believe even a lot of the stuff that's on display is just a copy.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Of course. And no. In some places for sure. Yes, I am not. Okay, actually, so I'll tell you a fun story. I met this forger this forger, it was so good that he donated the pieces to many museums all over the United States. He never charged them for it. So he technically never committed a crime.
Yeah, because
He donated it. So yeah.
But I met him myself. He is an interesting mind. And now, like, he now does that for a living. Like, he basically, oh, you want a copy of this piece? Sure. This guy was creating copies of very famous works with like Walmart frames and like the cheapest shit you could imagine, but he did a magnificent job. He was using crayons and other things. And we're like, what the fuck? I mean, it looks pretty fucking good, but what the fuck? When they like go into it, like, you use coffee ground to age it? Like, they were all like, what the hell? So Mark Landis, I believe was
call it a replica, and there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Just a replica of the original.
Mm-hmm. This is for study purposes.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean that's also a good thing too, because I mean, if you think about that, I guess the Mona Lisa is a great example. There's probably a million copies of that photo alone. Like people, you know what I'm saying? Like there's copies of that photo everywhere. You can just see it in random ass places sometimes, like restaurants and shit.
Yeah. And now they'll stylize it, and they've got
And turn it into a meme and stuff. Like it's just random stuff.
And the thing is, so this is, by the way, this is the artist, the gentleman in the middle right there, with the hat.
Okay,
that's the guy. That's a quick picture I found of him. But yeah, Mark Landis, this guy, that fellow right there, he tricked the art world. There's a documentary about him. That's really interesting. It's about how he basically fooled lots of museums and donated to them what is basically fakes.
Mark A. Landis, the American painter, who lives in Laurel, Mississippi. All right. I found some information about him. I was just make sure I could.
He's an interesting fellow. I'm not sure if you could ever speak to, because he has.
I'm not even trying to like speak to him. I just like to share, like, look,
for other people to be able to find interesting.
Because my friend worked with him directly, so I met him myself. An interesting person.
Laurel, Mississippi.
I like having friends like that sometimes, because I have met some interesting people because of just knowing folks, and it's always nice to meet some of these interesting people, because there's some minds out there, like going back to like Julian and stuff, that are just so intriguing.
Watch the documentary later. It's entertaining. He once faked being a priest. Like, this guy is like next level. Like, under a different world, he would have been an incredible con man. He's very smart.
Well, Q, like what? I don't know what kind of drives you. Like, what kind of things are you into thinking about? Like, I don't know, advancing the world. We always sit here and complain about this stuff, but like, is there any ideas you have? You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm more into like spiritual, metaphysical understanding.
Yeah.
I think we could all benefit from understanding spirituality better and how we contextualize that, because I don't identify as the physical body. I see myself as the energy flowing through the body, and I'm piloting this. So, like, for me, that is the basis of all reality. Like, all matter, like solid matter, is the same energy as plasma. It's just moving at a slower state. We're all the same stuff. All right. And I think that all that stuff is derived from spirituality. So I think that religion is important. I think that what we have for religion in most cases is shit. I think that every religion has a bit of the truth, and none of the religions that we have today are.
No. I like where you're kind of going with this, because I believe that
according to The Good Place, that one guy had it all right.
I believe there's big important ties back into this other realm that we can't really see. Like I make the mention constantly about just being a being in a meat mech.
Yeah.
And and like that,
And with that, I believe there's a higher connection for all of us across the board if we could understand that better. That is something I don't think
And
is
and this
taught.
and this is where science and spirituality are starting to come like collide,
Sure.
because what was written in Hindu scriptures thousands of years ago slowly is becoming more correlated with the world of quantum physics than physicists would ever think were true. Like, there's a reason why Oppenheimer was literally quoting from Shiva. um, why Shiva is outside of the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
Why is Shiva, goddess of destruction, outside of the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland? That's pretty interesting.
I mean, well, it's again like with where I think if you go back to the Watchers and if you consider the possibility that most deities are descendants of Nephilim or Watchers in disguise, fallen angels in disguise, then it makes perfect sense. That's Bible tells us that's where we got a lot of our forbidden knowledge from. So now this other God being there makes sense to me. Like someone is communicating with a being. It is. I'm not going to say that it's this other religion's God because some people may take offense to that. But
What if these beings are there,
Mhm.
and some people just have the frequency just out of whack enough
I want
to
to I
see
want to
them?
step it I want to step it up another notch.
Yeah.
All right. I refuse to believe in the single consciousness. I have always
You mean
believed.
you don't believe in Carl Jung's idea of the collective consciousness, is what you mean?
I believe that there is multiple collective consciousnesses, and I believe that these multiple gods are examples of these multiple collective consciousnesses. Like
It
like
doesn't
we
conflict that much. It actually still kind of still
we
collides
we
into an existing sort of.
say just I'm going to give a wild example, but say like I'm connected back to the god Thor, and Luis, you're connected back to like Zeus or something. You know what I'm saying? And then Q's connected back to someone as well, but like all these separate gods, and we can converse in this other realm as these gods, but like down here we're just scattered and living in this
Well,
realm of
I
reality.
I I described when somebody asked me what was the most controversial thing, it was relationship to consciousness. Like, we are just neurons in a being's brain. Like, you're a neuron, I'm a neuron, we're all neurons, but it takes trillions of neurons to build one brain. So we'd also just be sectors in a brain.
You're a neuron, she's a neuron, he's a neuron, we're all neurons. Hey,
And that's the thing, is it could very well be that simple and
well,
that special.
I okay, so I've had these these weird theories that I've run with before in the past, and they've kind of just come inconclusive, and I've just put them to the back of my head, like this one that I'm speaking on here. I have found when you research into like some of these gods or what they were believed about some of these different gods, like Shiva or Odin, or just the list goes on, of course, but like you can look when you start getting into like astrological stuff or whatever, you can find how a lot of these gods were claimed to have had certain traits and stuff like this, and you can like kind of see these in a metaphysical way, maybe through yourself. Like I've met people that I could maybe relate the stories of like pagan gods to, or that I could relate the stories of Greek gods to, or even Egyptian gods and stuff like that. Like there's so many different run-ins and people that have these interesting connections, like
And the
back
thing is,
to.
we don't completely know yet, because we can't tap into the data flow. So we can't
Yes.
tap into that flow. Like I
Well,
was mentioning in the last episode, what am I thinking about? And I was telling the truth. I really was thinking about, where does the data go? Where does everything
well,
we're doing? What is us a
I mean
thousand
that
years from now? Where is this going? Is this going into a hard drive that goes into another hard drive, gets experienced by a certain collective of individuals, and just disappears into the ethos of nothingness?
Well, I
Or
mean, when you met our lovely ladies like Kat and even the Born Awake Oracle, Miss Vicky and stuff, like they are big people and who believe and will tell you about the Akashic Records. And there's this fantastic book that I've actually read by Edward Case here or Edgar Case here that talks about this kind of stuff. And like, so let me throw this at you. You ever have an idea and you never move on that idea?
and then you see it.
But then later down the road you see it. Well, you had that idea, you missed your opportunity to jump on that idea, so it
Doing
fleeted
it.
you.
I'm still doing it.
I
It's
know,
expensive, but I'm still doing it. But I'll give you an example. I'm literally doing it.
But like it fleeted you, or you didn't do something. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
then,
I've seen it many times in my life, and I regret all the other things that I missed.
yes.
And
But
I
it
hate
but that's what it is. If we're all these collective type consciousnesses in this other realm, it
I've
goes
realized with
back
time I'm not bad with ideas.
it goes back into the ether for the next one of us to grab and bring it
Yes.
out.
So and that's the thing is like and the beautiful thing is when I'm talking to certain people, like you, like we can break down things and we can really explore things. And I have come up with insane things while I'm in the process of speaking to certain people, but sometimes it takes me speaking to somebody to then open my mind up and then a whole flood of new ideas, which that's why I'm kind of like sad. I had a conversation with somebody the other day for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I was so pissed off. Like I could have recorded that because so much good stuff came out of my head. I mean, we wrote it down, but it's it's that it's that element of exploration of everything that can be because of the collective that's all the data that's already been expressed. There is the idea, there is no original thought. I'm like, because you don't have an original thought. The people that say there's no original thought are the ones that can't have original thoughts.
But I think I really would implore you, honestly, when when it comes like this in the Akashic Records type thing and like that, I would really implore you to reach out to
Cool
our friends
shirt.
at
Cool shirt, bro.
Sorry
because
about that, guys. I had to step off for a second.
You're good.
it's quite
I'm
okay.
gonna have to get back to work soon, but
It's quite okay. We were touching on the Akashic Records here.
say that again.
when you had walked away, we were kind of touching on the Akashic Records.
The Caustic Records.
Akashic.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, we'll see now.
Edgar Casey. Yeah, go into it.
This would go right along and with your thoughts on spirituality and stuff. And I have a book I'll recommend for you. I'll get you a PDF copy of it. This Akashic Records by Edgar Case.
Okay.
And this is to do like collective type consciousnesses and stuff. And like if you had an idea, it goes back into the ether if you don't move on it, and somebody else will grab it. And Luis was asking like, where does all this information go, like us and stuff like that. And this is what I've got some cool friends that I was telling him he should reach back out to because they deal in this kind of stuff, and I think they can help you people listening, Luis, understand some of that metaphysical kind of other dimensional, worldly, spiritual type thing we're talking about.
For sure, man. I'm big on looking into
These girls will take you to your past lives.
So I don't know if I believe in past lives per se.
I got a good book for you on that.
But I'm definitely open to hearing thoughts about that.
Oh yeah, man, I'm big into that because I think that with us being a continuous light, a continuous energy and stuff like that, like we get to come back and learn lessons we didn't learn the last time. My friend Kat makes it a big point. She will connect you and show you where your last body was buried.
So
wild.
With stuff like that, I'd have to ask, how are you divinating this information? Because it's like stuff like that, to know things outside of yourself, you have to be getting it from another source. And I know that there are sources all around us. And for me, spiritually, the only source that I really need to be gaining that type of information from is my God and anyone that he authorizes. Anybody
I believe you gained
Well, you
that
just
source.
said it.
I believe you gained that
authorizes.
source from from yourself.
What do you mean?
Well, I believe God. I believe that God is an inner being, not something in a sky looking down upon me. And so, with that, when I want to look for true answers to anything, I look within because there's nowhere I can trust better than within. Like you can.
I understand that. I definitely dig the thought process. I mean, for me, it's definitely different because I see myself as limited. Like anything that's within me is only the thing that I've put in me or that other people have put in me that I've connected with. So, like, there is a limit to what I have, which is why I'm so hungry for knowledge because I want to put more in me so that when I go within, I have more to draw from. So, I think that, I mean, I understand, some people don't see the idea of a being watching. I don't like. I'm still trying to reconcile whether or not he's like a man in the sky or if he's the energy that is just flowing outside. And I do think it. To be honest, I think it's. I do think he's a giant man in the sky at this point.
And everything.
I'm dead ass serious.
Now, how long is the bear?
See, everything that I'm talking
glorious.
about.
The beard is glorious.
Everything that I'm talking about though connects back to that idea of it being the energy around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No. I mean, well, I think that at this point, or at the point in time where because God is out. To me, God is outside of space, time, and matter. Space, time, and matter is everything that is in existence, and for me, that is all that is within the firmament.
It's the same. It's the same here. Like,
Yeah.
But think of God, and like, so when you think of the idea of God in a human like form, I think the reason why human beings built that narrative is because the absolute, the everything, the idea of the everything, the everything created a version of itself that a being like us could comprehend. And that was the vision that has been popularized. It doesn't mean that that's how they look like. It means that's how they presented themselves to a certain collective that then repeated the story over and over again to give some form to a being of no form, because they are all.
Are you saying like in reference to man being made in God's image?
Yes, but
so I mean, I don't think
the creator is absolute in everything. Therefore, it wouldn't have a form.
I don't know. I don't think that when the Bible is speaking on that is talking about the body. I think the body is designed and optimized as the best way to navigate through the physical world. I think when they say that we're made in their image, I think that's when we're discussing emotions. That's when we're discussing feelings. That's when we're discussing discernment. I think that's what the Bible is hitting on. I think that now when I say that I do think God is a man, I think that he's maybe a giant man in the sky. I think that he made these bodies for a reason. And when in my understanding of eternity, we will have bodies similar to this that will be without death and without all the shortcomings. So I think
you already do, though.
No.
That's the tricky part. But the thing is,
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Like this body's gonna end. It's gonna perish.
The body is gonna die. But you, the true you, is not that device, that mech. That's what Jim was saying.
I agree.
Like,
but
that is not. You are inside this vessel.
I want a new vessel. Like
no. You just want to remember the vessel.
I would like to remember this vessel.
That's what you really mean. You just want to remember. You want a new vessel, but you want to remember.
I want to continue. I want to experience a version of physical reality where my senses are stimulated in the way that they're stimulated now without the external threat of evil and people encroaching on my rights and what I want. And that is what's promised to me in the Bible. When evil is gone, then I see heaven as this or something akin to this. But wherever we would be if we had not had the hindrance of stupidity of humanity, that is heaven.
It's a tricky part because we need chaos to create.
I was just about to get there, Luis. I was going to say
we need chaos.
For light to exist, dark has to exist.
We need chaos to we don't need chaos for light to exist, but chaos is necessary for the transition of darkness.
Our value comes from organizing chaos.
Good can't exist without evil, like yin and yang. Like
Yeah,
it
sure.
has to be.
But-
It has
but-
to be
Good,
evil.
but no, okay. Good cannot have existed. Good and evil have to come into existence together, but good.
But evil is a human construct.
But good can. I disagree with you wholeheartedly on that. I do think good can exist without evil. If evil were to be destroyed,
I don't think evil can be destroyed. I think
Evil can be destroyed. It can be quashed. It can be lowered. It can be extinguished from a region, but it cannot be absolutely destroyed.
I
Absolute.
understand.
I mean, on the term of absolute.
I understand that why you guys think that, because you also don't see a creator in the way that I see a creator.
But
So I understand your perspective, and that would be impossible if there wasn't someone orchestrating the whole thing and allowing the things that are happening to happen for a purpose. And
after studying 33 of the 200 and something religions on the planet, that's why I've come to a lot of the conclusions that I have. Like I do understand.
We could very well be on top of a turtle.
Because I was there too at one point in time. Like it
has to go potentially.
I was at that point at one point in time too, where I believed, there might be like a thing. But now, you guys hear the wild ramblings that I make now, and I was actually going to totally make a reference, and it's no offense to Q or anything, but when I think of people like believing that there's a sky being, it automatically.
Hold on to something. I put an unbounded vacuum inside a temporal field until a world developed. I then introduced the people of this world to the wonders of electricity in the form of a device I call a flubel crank.
The flubel crank.
The fact that there could be, an all-knowing sky.
We could literally all be inside of a marble around a space cat.
Yeah, just being played with. But that's. That's
earthquakes is when it's dropping on the floor.
I mean, why not?
Or when we're on top of the turtle, and whenever it's having a stomach ache, that's when the volcanoes go off.
Gotcha. And like it's
and at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. The moon is made of cheese.
For sure. But
why do they even say that? The moon's made of cheese. I love whoever the fuck made that up. It was so funny.
Such a good one. It really is. But I think that a lot of this, like with the questions you have with this, and the questions that Q had with this, I need to arrange one where I can get Kat and Kate in here and again, because these are great questions, I think, for them, and they have an eloquent way of putting it better than I do, because I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and I'm just out here kind of winging it. Like, you're just going with the flow and seeing what's new and what's more interesting. And there's so many different questions and thoughts and stuff like this that run through my mind on a regular, but like it's curious to me, I guess, to know why a lot more people have started to come to this conclusion that good is eventually going to defeat evil.
We had the discussion. What if actually evil is the true default, right?
See,
because at the end of the day, chaotic elements are what also create exotic goods, and it's we also have to put into the premise that we exist because of chaos.
Sure. No, but I mean, what I was saying was like I spent a lot of time studying a lot about like ancient Chinese culture and stuff like that. I was always fascinated about it. Like, I never really got into like the anime aspect of it, but I loved just Chinese culture in general, and seeing a lot of the things that they practice and put forth and believe and even still practice today. I know they're under a lot of scrutiny and craziness going on in China right now today. Believe me, I understand, but I'm saying, like, back in these times, like, they established a lot of the same kind of spirituality play things that
friend of mine just wrote this on ancient Chinese teachings.
Yes, dude, and I've seen so many connections back into other, I guess, ancient cultures, that they had a lot of the same
spirituality beliefs that I believe I kind of align with, but it's more of like the ancient Chinese, the ancient Indian, the ancient the pagan, even the ancient Egyptians and stuff, all believed in the same thing and all kind of had the same gods, just under different
Monotheism technically came from Egypt.
Yeah.
Which could have came from Lemuria.
Monotheism existed in Egypt way before most of the other religions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was recorded in Egypt before most of the other religions.
That is a great point.
The Hebrews were oral religion, and they did their religions until before they came to Egypt. So, yeah.
No, you might be
I think the Egyptians called them the Hyksos. So yes, but then, and that is why it was so important. That's why it's funny in God's plan, because Moses, he was saved because of the Egyptian in the story, if you believe it or don't. And his education, formal education under the Pharaoh, is what allowed him to be the one to write the Torah.
But I enjoy, like, I guess my only dilemma with the Moses story is the bits and pieces that are different from the story it was taken from ancient Egypt and stuff. Like when you look at it,
we literally just had a conversation about how history. So it's like
right.
So it's like you kind of got to compare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like
the
great
thing
comparisons.
Is, like,
something I love to.
What I
like to point out though is remember that ancient Egypt was ancient to ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, I don't even think the Egyptians built the pyramids. I don't think our Egyptians. I think they moved into the pyramids.
Yeah. Correct.
A lot, like all those structures, they didn't build this.
The ancient Egyptians that we're talking about that moved in there, they claim that they are the ancestors of the Atlanteans.
The Atlanteans map out the Atlantean myth, like not myth, but the Atlantean story does map out the 12 cities, sister cities, Egypt being one of them. And then there was a particular city in Nigeria, and Nigeria was called, like, particularly was the one that had the highest amount of twins. To this day, Nigeria is the country with the most twins per capita on planet Earth. So it's interesting that something so ancient to this day is still relevant. Accurate. Nigeria being Nigeria, not Nigeria. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, Christians would say the same thing about the Bible.
But the Bible's not that old. The Bible's pretty new.
I mean, it's based on older text. Come on. Yes. The Bible we have now and the Bibles that they keep making, no, they're not that old. But these are based on oral traditions that are just as old as the oldest.
It's Nigeria. Sorry. Oh my God, see my brain. Thought it was Nigeria, so sorry.
Well, yeah, no, I mean it's all based on different stories told in different ways. But this also gets into like things that are deleted. I'm a big advocate, and on my little link tree that I have out there for showing people the other, some of those books that have been omitted that you can find that are floating around and stuff, because there's a lot of interesting stories in that. Yeah. There's and I've been looking for a PDF here recently. A girl on TikTok showed off this cool book that was talking about that has some of the stories from other cultures that were when Jesus was visiting places like ancient Asia and India and even Egypt.
Now that's the kind of stuff, because like there's a lot of stuff that's not in the Bible, and I'm like, those stories interest me a lot, and I'm like, okay, where are these stories at? And I mean, if you read, like the story of Adam and Eve. Have you heard of those? Because that gives such a unique perspective of what their actual life was like after the fall, and there's this it was I found it comical, but I think it was more dark comedy, how depressed Adam was. He kept beating his chest and screaming because he was no longer in this beautiful place, and he had never experienced darkness before. So like he was on this cave and this mountain, and I don't know, it's a lot of really interesting stuff, and like for me it's history, and so I'm like, it's interesting to see that my forefathers dealt with a lot of the issues that I dealt with now. He fucked up, he made a mistake, and he was depressed after it. Wow, I can relate.
All right, I actually found there was the video of what I was talking about, that lady that has the book or whatever that she's been reading recently. It's pretty.
Bro, so I've been like deep in research right now and reading so much, and I came across I came across this book, and I swear I think I came across like gold. Like, or maybe I just get excited at everything, but okay. Look at this. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. And notice how they say Jesus the Christ, not Jesus Christ, Jesus the Christ. The philosophic and practical basis of the religion of the Aquarian age of the world and of the Church Universal. Transcribed from the Book of God's Remembrances known as the Akashic Records. I'm pretty sure I just found like the story of Jesus' life in the Bible, but before it was changed. Transcribed from the Akashic Records. Mind you, this was written in 1911, so this was written 100 years ago, bro. Like, the introduction literally opens up talking about the Aquarian age of Gospel of Jesus, the Christ of the Piscean age. Is there a Christ of the Aquarian age? And it opens up even talking about these questions. What's the Piscean age? What's the Aquarian age? What is meant by Christ as the word is used in the book? What's the relationship between Jesus of Nazareth and Christ? What are the Akashic records? Now, looking at the table of contents, bro, it talks about his early life, early education, childhood of Jesus, education of his mom, the works of Jesus in India, the works of Jesus in Tibet, Persia, Greece, Egypt, the Council of Seven Sages of the World, the second epoch, the first annual epoch, the third epoch, the betrayal and arrest of Jesus, the trial and execution, the resurrection of Jesus, the materialization of his spiritual body, and the establishment of the church. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? And like, I'm really, it's not loading, but what? If y'all want, I could even, I'm definitely gonna read this. I'm reading so much.
I'm pretty good at finding PDFs, so if you'll give me till the end of this episode, I'll likely have this PDF.
Yeah,
I want it.
I'd
Send it
like
to me.
to check that out, man. Because I don't know, I immediately I have a lot of radars that go off when I hear stuff like that. But I'm not like the one that's like, oh, geez, I don't. Let me see what it's talking about. Because like I've read a few different apocryphal books. Some of them, in my spirit, felt inspired, and some of them didn't. You know what I mean? And that's just my discernment from it. So the Bible says, "Eat the meat, spit out the bones." And I like to eat knowledge, man. So let's go.
Right. Yeah. No. I've had that bite of wanting to eat knowledge. I got I got kicked out of Christian church when I was 12 years old because I had a pierced ear and a New International Version of the Bible, and I was told by that Southern Baptist preacher that I was going to hell for having those two things, and so it made me want to learn about religion, and so I started reading Bibles of other religions,
Hmm.
and that's
That
that's
would be,
that's how I got to a lot of the standpoints I am today. From like 12 years old till I was like 19 or 20. That was the thing I was looking into, was trying to see where religion needed to tie back into this. And unlike you, and again, I don't take that any kind of way. It doesn't bother me, but I believe that religion's tainted spirituality. There's hidden pieces
yeah.
of it all throughout there, but like a lot of your modern religious figures, for sure, like that one dude in, what is that, Tennessee or whatever, that's kind of a piece of shit, that Olstein fellow.
Yeah.
Like people like that, I think really they've been in religions throughout religion, and they have done a good
Yeah.
job at tainting.
I mean, like I said, like even Christianity, like I don't even like calling myself a Christian, but Christianity in itself is tainted. It's what it should be. It isn't, and it is based on the way of Yahweh, which is something completely different.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not completely different, but it shares the tenets. But Christianity is the way wrapped up and commercialized so it can be used to control people. But that doesn't change. But the fact that they had to take a particular belief and use that belief shows the power of that belief, and especially how long it has been able to sustain this false religion. It lets you know that what it is derived from it obviously has some power, and it is able to keep this engine going. So that's where
Same
my
could be said about Islam and Judaism. They've been around.
those are all based on the same tenets, and they all came after Christianity, especially Islam.
It depends on which version of Islam, because there's technically two versions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I still don't think it, as far as I know, I don't think it outdates.
Well, I mean, if you go back to like the days of Timbuktu when it rivaled what New York City is today, and like the 1300s and pre, like on its rise, they were mostly it was Muslim for Lord knows how long there. Like they all just knew it was Muslim, and like there's it's interesting to see where all of them go in the different directions. Like I said, when you start researching into the different ones, one of my favorites, really, like to be honest, has always been Buddhism. Like it. I don't know. I try to be as passive as I can about a lot of things, and that kind of keeps me zen. Like I'm just pretty chill dude. Like I'll get worked up about stuff every now and then, or get passionate about something. But like the whole zen, like I guess that's the whole. From your perspective, would be to turn the other cheek kind of thing. Like that it always spoke to me a lot in the way that Buddhism did and with meditation and stuff like that. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. Like that's one I always recommend people to look at.
Not a regular Christian, because I mean, like, I'm all for turning the other cheek, but I'm all for turning your cheek too. Like,
oh no, me too, Bob. Listen. When Zen ends, ass kicking begins.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes people can take it too far, and you do have to do what you got to do. And I think that even that message is embedded in the Bible. I think that's part of what modern Christianity is lacking as well. Like they are like, oh, Jesus is this beautiful.
Jesus would flip tables and whip politicians, bro.
Jesus is coming to spit fire on the world. They say he's going to a sword is going to come out of his mouth. He's not coming to play around. And people want to act like it's like, he's coming to destroy. He's coming to wipe out souls. He's coming to destroy parts of the world, and he's going to rebuild it for the people who deserve it. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I like that. So, but I guess all that aside, I like how this evening we've been able to have like a civil conversation about stuff like this, because I've been in the midst of some of these conversations before, and good God, I have seen extremists from multiple religions. You know what I'm saying?
There's no specific collective that doesn't have some nut jobs.
Oh my Lord, dude.
Give me 1 second, guys.
And like, there's one guy, and I love him. He's a real good guy at heart, but he is so headstrong that his religion is the right religion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell him.
Wait until he goes upstairs and realizes, nope.
Right.
They're all right. It's like, wait, what?
And just stuff like that, and that's what I like when you can talk to folks that are willing to learn about this stuff, or wanting to read and wanting more knowledge, because that's how I think sharing knowledge is a good way to help. I don't know, give people a different perspective on things. You know what I mean? Like there's so many perspectives. There's so many of us. That's why I like the fact that we have so many co-hosts and stuff, because we can have a barrage of, views on something and still have these good civilized conversations about it.
Yeah.
Especially Luis.
Listen, when I tell people about you, bro, I'm like, imagine the most interesting man in the world, but younger.
But to everybody around me, it's a very strange reality. I guess people see whatever they want to see, or perceive whatever they want to perceive.
You are an interesting fellow, dude. You've always got interesting things to talk about.
Oh, separately, I'll send you this book later, the info. I'm going to read it. I just got it today. This is based off ancient scriptures that were never translated.
What's the title?
Tao Te Ching. Oh, well, can you read it, or you can't?
I've got the browser pulled up. Tao
Te Ching, the wisdom of Lao Tzu. Translated illustrator Amy Sung Birnbaum. My God, I don't want to pronounce her name wrong. Amy Sung Burnham. I believe you pronounce Burnham. Amy Sung. Yeah. I met her a while back, and had an incredible conversation last I spoke to her, and I was like, please send me the moment this book is out. I'd love to read it because it's things that would not really would properly been translated.
Yeah.
No, that's different. This is just a different thing. This is a different copy. This is something different. This has not been translated in English. This is like one of the first translations, I believe. Yeah. But this is part of it that's not been. So.
I mean, okay.
So there's different ways of translating it. So that's why she's like, so there's different ways of translating it. So that's why.
Interesting. All right. So there's no agreed upon translation.
Well, in the back they talk more about it. Let me see the written implies words. This endorses male, female. We didn't create.
It says it. Well, I found a thing here. It says that there's 10 versions of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it's something to explore, and it's always good to.
So that one I just found might actually be one of the versions.
Yeah. No, I'll send it to you. This just was published, so that's why I was saying there's no PDF because it literally just came out. That's what I was saying. There's versions of it, of the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at usually finding PDFs.
I see that. I'm very happy for that too.
So, I don't know. There's so many questions still in the world, I think, from my perspective, and it's good to keep asking questions. That's always a good route to run with things. And so Q, you got anything else for us this evening you'd like to hit on before we get ready to wrap up? I know you got a lot going on too, but
yeah, it's I'm pulled all over. I do want to say, I do music. I do gospel hip hop. So I just had a song that came out.
You got a link for that, or is that all going to be on your website?
No, it's
because I will totally hook people up with that link to that track if that's what you'd like. The folks out there listening.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Always love supporting the guests that we have on here, man. Like I try to implore everybody to go back and check the folks out because you never have. That's why I like having you back too, because you never have enough time to ever really discuss. And I like getting to know folks, and when you can share more about them and other people can find you, you can make new friends and stuff. It's
for sure. I mean, that's the best part of that's why all of us do this. I think I think a lot of us who are so different minded, we feel isolated a lot of times, and so it's like trying to find our people. You know what I mean?
That's right, man. No, that's right. Like that's something I love doing is trying to get into that. So we'll make sure that we get your link to your track there, and I'll make sure that you get links back to Parallel Society and your TikTok and stuff, just like last time, so that we can find everything. Cool, I've got it right here now. So we can find everything related to my buddy Q here and everything that he's talking and doing, man. He's always doing lives too, you guys, on TikTok.
Trying to get back into that more.
Hey, man, I've come across them. You have some good conversation out there, so I enjoy seeing stuff like that. But is this all your tracks?
Yeah, that's all me. Anything from 2022 and up is my gospel stuff. Prior to that, I was doing secular music. So I'm making this transition, and I'm going into gospel, and it's been fun, man. So yeah.
Hey, man, no, that's fantastic. I love music in general, all the way across the board, and if it jams, it jams. That's how I feel about things.
Hey, and that's the facts, man. It don't matter what genre, where, if even this country, man, people are like, you like country? I like good music, and if it happens to be classified as country, I'm on the, you know what I'm saying? It is
music is good music. You're exactly right. No matter the genre. So, and of course, you guys, I'm definitely gonna make sure you guys get back all that, man. You go give them a listen and play some stuff. Luis, you got anything for me tonight before you bounce out?
No. All good.
Really? Nothing at all? No words of wisdom from you tonight, bud?
We've said many points. We covered many points.
No, I think tonight's been a fantastic episode. Yeah. Like it there's been some good good conversation then with tonight. And Q, I can't wait to have you back again, man. Like I love all these good conversations like that.
Appreciate it. That's the point that I wanted to make. I like the fact that all of us are very grounded in our beliefs. We come from different walks of life, and that's why we're able to have a civil conversation, because people who don't know what they believe, they come into a conversation with other people, and then other people are so sure of what they believe, and it hurts. It's like, why are you so sure? I'm not so sure. I want that. And it's like, just believe what you believe and be okay with that. And sometimes it's going to change.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to change. Be okay with that. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing I've always, I'm definitely always saying is that if I'm out here trying to touch that one mind, there's one mind out there listening that maybe had questions or maybe had something they didn't understand, something that you said, something that I said, something that Luis said, maybe it touched them in the right way.
yeah,
That's what I'm looking to do, man. That's why I like you, man. I definitely have you more on in the future. So
I appreciate you, JB. Thank you, man.
Sir, sir, and of course, you guys know before I get out of here, I got something for you. So, what does a pirate use to blow stuff up? His mateys.
You guys have a great night. Thank you.